Hi guys, my name is Qwani and I'm a writer, historian, planner and also the founder of Qwani. Nilianza kusoma gazeti heavily nikiwa high school. So after that nilikuwa na collect all this information and then nilikuwa napendanga kuandika. We've done so many events, both in sporting events and indoor events and all that stuff. There's a project that we're working on recently, working on the street namings, documenting the street names around Nairobi. We usually had the bunges, like in the mode of basically a parliamentary bunge. Like we have the side of the opposition and the side of the members, and then now we debate on these particular things.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Conversations in Literature. My name is Eric Rugara and I am joined today by Qwani, a writer, an editor, a quantity surveyor by profession, and a historian, geographer, all those things, and a founder of the youth collective Qwani. Karibu Keith.
Asante sana.
Quantity surveying is what you studied, but umeenda kwa hii sekta ya usanii.
Kabisa.
How did you find your way to usanii?
So basically, I think naeza anza tu na the whole story ya writing. Since nilianza kusoma gazeti heavily nikiwa high school. So after that nilikuwa na collect all this information and then nilikuwa napendanga kuandika. So once nilimaliza high school, nili move on to Twitter. So on Twitter nilikuwa naandikanga the threads. So after time zikaanza kubuild up in terms of content and then wasa wakasema like si tafuta better way kupreserve hizi writings zote. So that's basically when niliongeza ndo nika create the blog. So nakuwa na WordPress blog yenye kwa bio yangu ya Twitter.
You know, I've encountered your blog na image stories of philosophy.
Yep.
And science.
Yep.
When I read your blog, I don't see the artist, I see a scientist. Or somebody who is very like akona knowledge mingi sana za philosophy and stuff. So are you more into science or into what?
I could say I'm into both. Immediately nilimaliza high school, I was a nerd at the time. So that's basically what I used to write about mostly. But then as time went by ndio like nikakuwa opened up to all this other stuff. That's when I discovered art galleries, nikaanza kwenda kutembea. That's when I discovered music events, nikaanza hivyo. So basically kulikuwa na particular period of time around between 2021 na 2022 ndio like nilikuwa in this whole phase ya ku-explore. Naweza sema nilipata mtu ndio yeye mtu akanitembeza hizo vitu zote. So that's when
ulipata mtu
nilipata mtu venye utaelewa.
So you ulipata mtu ako into the arts.
Yeah, into the arts scene.
And you are not into the arts scene.
At the time I was into the arts scene. Nilikuwa nerd.
You were a nerd.
I used to spend most of my time reading. Na nilikuwa nasoma at the time the heavy books, just as you saw on the blog.
Classics of fiction or of
philosophy. At the time it was purely philosophy and purely science.
Why were you interested in philosophy?
I don't really know what exactly drove it.
Like, okay, let me ask, when did you start getting interested in philosophy?
Immediately after finishing high school. So the first book I read was actually the Communist Manifesto, and then after that, like it
and you understood it?
Yeah, I understood it actually, and because immediately I finished it, I started having some socialist thoughts, but I don't really want to dive into that. But after that, I was like really intrigued with these people's particular way of thinking. So I decided now I can just start reading philosophy from the basics. So that's when I moved on to Socrates, and then slowly went up the ladder.
So have you read, Hegel, those guys?
I
Kant.
tried reading the Phenomenology of Spirit by Hegel, but I couldn't get past 10 pages because it was very heavy. I think Hegel...
Could you even understand a sentence?
Yeah, I couldn't understand. Hegel is like the heaviest philosopher.
I think he was just flexing for no reason. No, I've read a theory about that, like they call it obscurantism. he did that so that he can impress the university, so that he can get promoted, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, if people can't understand you
Mm-hmm.
as a philosopher or as a thinker,
Mm-hmm.
they don't blame you, they blame themselves for not understanding you.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a thing. It's a movement he started and others followed. So after philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
now how did you now come to founding Qwani?
So now the whole backstory of Qwani.
Mm.
So it was during August 2022.
Oh, first of all, are you founder of Qwani or co-founder of Qwani?
Well, I came up with the idea and then I
Mhm.
brought together a pool of people and then we started it together. So that's co-founding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a
But
co-founder.
the brainchild was...
Yeah, I'm the one who came up with the idea.
Mm-hmm. What triggered the idea?
So now that's the story. That's the
Mhm.
story that I'm about to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So it was back in August 2022, and I was attending some piano classes. It was during the elections period, so things were a bit slow in the country at the time. So I was attending some piano classes, and there was a girl whom I was with. And one day after the class, she started showing me her blog, and she told me that it was some unconventional. She writes unconventionally, and she was wondering whether like she can do something serious with her writing, whether like it can be accepted somewhere to be published. And then at that particular moment, I showed her Smitten's work, and I told her that, hey, this guy writes for the newspaper in Sheng, and he's written for all these years and he's gotten published. So even with whatever you've written, like there might be a chance that you might get somewhere with it. So that was the first day. Then the next day I went to buy. Then the next day, actually, or it was that similar evening when I was scrolling through Twitter, I came across like a viral tweet of a WordPress blog that had been shared. It was by a girl called Mukagichu. So it was a famous, it was an ode to Nairobi called Nairobi, the 7 Deadly Sins. And when I read through the whole, it was sort of an essay.
Is it the one who wrote Nairobi?
Yeah. Actually, it's that similar one. It's just when it go to the elephant, they change the title.
Okay. Was it an essay or a poem?
I don't know how to classify it. I'll just call it an ode.
Okay.
So it was really nice, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
she writes so beautifully.
Mm.
And then when I went to the comments, when it was at WordPress, there were the comments, and then I clicked the profiles, and then I discovered all these other writers. And when I went through their work, I was like, oh wow, there's so many young writers here, and personally I didn't know about them.
So you all were writing on WordPress?
Yeah, we were all writing on WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, there's so many young writers here. Like, is there anything that can be done to like help them get like a platform to help them get known?
Mm-hmm.
So the next day when I was going to buy soap, now this is the other part. When I was going to buy soap, when you buy soap alone in the supermarket, they usually wrap it in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home, I just opened the newspaper carefully to take out the soap, and then when I looked at the newspaper, it was a standard newspaper it was April 11th, 2021. It was an article by Tony Mochama titled "The Rise and Fall of Qwani," an insider story. So I read through the whole story. He explained how they started from the meetings with Kinabinya Vanga at Lillian Towers, and then how they came up with the idea of doing a literary journal, and eventually how now they did the editions. And then I had a copy of Qwani 3 at the time. I just bought it randomly because I loved the cover. And then I decided now to go back to the shelf. I looked at it, and then I saw all these guys just used to do collections of different pieces by different people. So I was like, what if this model worked? From Mochama's article, I saw that Qwani lasted for close to 2 decades. Not exactly 2 decades, but close to 2 decades. So I was like, if this model worked for them, then I guess it can also work for us. So I decided now that I can just bring together the friends whom I know are writers, and then I shared the idea with them. And then I told them that, so we can just do sort of a collection of stories. We tell people who write blogs that they can send in their blogs to us. We compile them into a book, and then now we sell. Since when people write blogs, you ordinarily just share it to your 5 friends, the 5 friends whom you have who religiously read it. So now when you bring together our work into one book, and I share to my 5 friends, and you share to your 5 friends, and this other person shares to their 5 friends, we'll have an even bigger audience than we previously had, and your friends will get to know about me, yet ordinarily they wouldn't have known about me, and my friends will get to know about how you write, and the other person's friends will get to know about the both of us. So that way each of us, like our reach will spread to bigger than how it is currently. So that's when I called together. I had 6 friends at the time who were writing. There was the girl who now I was attending piano classes with, and then there was 2 guys who used to write. They used to write poems to girls in high school in sticky notes, and then they wouldn't get replied. So I was like, oh, I can finally have some use for what you usually write. So I brought them on board. There's some guy whom we used to write back to science. We used to write science threads on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I can now give you a platform to write all these essays that you usually do. So I brought them together, and then I shared the idea with them, and then they were okay with it.
How many were you in total?
At the time when we started, we were actually 10. But then people slowly dropped out of the way, and then at the moment we are 6. But so some people, we shared off some people.
Qwani has 6 members or 6 founders?
6 founders. 6 founders. So among I'll call it the board, but that's too gratifying. But the board has 6 members. So we just appointed roles to each other, and then I would say, now let's do a public call out. So in the month of November 2022, that's when we did the public call out on Twitter and to our friends. And then we told them, guys, hey, we have this particular book we want to do. So if you want to feature in it, just send your piece to us through email, and then we'll go through it, we'll edit it, and then if it's good enough, we'll put it on the book. So that's how we did the call for submissions for Qwani 1.
So the original Qwani was Qwani with a K.
Yep.
And a question mark. Your Qwani is Q, no question mark. So has there been some backlash from people saying you should not have named it after the original Qwani? Maybe you should have come up with a new name.
Yeah, actually there was backlash from, when we first posted it on, we did the call out on Twitter, and then there were some of the older writers who got to see the tweet, and they were like, oh, who are these people who are like stealing the name from an older Qwani? The other people who are saying that, oh, now that you have taken their name, and when we will mention our name in public, people will think about the older Qwani, and then now compare it to us, and then now they ask the question like, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to fit into the shoes of the people in the older Qwani? So there were those kind of questions. But when it came to copyright, I had to ask I tried to reach out to some of the people from the older Qwani to ask them, first of all, whether it's legal to like get a pastiche of the name. So I asked Tony Mochama, and then there was a guy called Kairo Kiarie, who was the printer for the older Qwani, and they were both okay with the name. They said that as long as you've tweaked the name and you've removed the question mark, then there won't be any copyright issues. So mostly the question of having the name as Qwani was because of now whether we'll be able to fit into the shoes of the older people. And there has been some confusion too, because there was some guy who reached out to us through email. He was saying that, oh, he wrote for Qwani 6 and he hasn't yet been paid his dues. So like he was asking for a meeting so that you can sort that out.
I've seen some, maybe I don't know if it's Qwani members, your generation, or just people who know about Qwani from Twitter, and I got that they think that you guys have revived Qwani. So have you revived Qwani, or have you formed a new Qwani with a Q, with a totally different identity?
Okay, so first of all, when back to this, when I got the idea of Qwani, so I went to their website, and then the only person whose contacts were there was a guy called Mike Mboro, who used to be the sales and distribution guy for Qwani. So I called him, and then we had a chat, and then I asked him whether Qwani is still in existence, and then I asked him whether like it's possible. I told him my idea and that I would love to revive it. And then he told me that Qwani has a lot of skeletons in the cabinet. So if I try to revive it like the older Qwani, then there will be just a lot of drama following it up.
So you wanted to revive the original Qwani?
Yeah,
with a K.
Yeah, I wanted to revive the original Qwani.
So would that entail going to the offices, getting their funding, and so forth?
Yeah, it will have entailed all that.
But the original Qwani, I think, is still in place. They still have a board.
I don't know whether it's still in place. I usually see, I actually saw Tom Maliti the other day delivering books to Nuria for the older Qwani. So I think the only sector that's active is the open mic. They usually have a sector called the Qwani open mic that usually holds open mics regularly. Though I haven't seen one this year. I saw one last year. So when Mike told me that, then I got the idea now to start a newer Qwani. So this Qwani is different from the older Qwani.
So was this before or after you guys had come together and?
This was before. So now
this was like the groundwork.
Yeah, this was the groundwork that I did before bringing them on board.
So you didn't just get the idea and quickly run. No. Let's do this.
No. When I got the idea, now first of all I embarked on reading everything about it. So I looked for the articles that. There were the articles that Kari Baraka had written, the articles that Isaac Amuke had written, the other articles that Tony Wachama had written. I went to read all of those, whatever had been written about Benyavanga. So I did some groundwork, and I even looked for the people who used to fund Qwani, Akina Ford Foundation, Akina Chimurenga, and all those other guys. I actually reached out to them before now bringing on board all these other people. So now once I had got enough evidence about enough information about the older Qwani, that's now when I decided to start now the newer Qwani now with all these other people.
So the people who are funding, were they okay to fund what you guys are doing?
So the only people who reached back were Ford Foundation, and they said that they have stopped funding literary works because basically they stopped funding literary works.
Did they say why?
They said that after people saw how Qwani has been funded, so many other writers tried to reach out to them to fund their works, and then they saw that it's not as beneficial, and so they decided to delve into civic spaces. So they said, unless my book is on.
But your organization also does a lot of civics work.
It does a lot of civic work.
They can't fund that.
Well, I haven't reached out to them yet. It's been 2 years. Actually, this happened September 2022, and now it's September 2024. I haven't reached out to them ever again, but maybe I should.
Do you have funding?
No, I don't have funding.
Qwani does not have funding.
Qwani does not have funding.
How does it sustain itself?
So at first, when we came together, and then we discovered the costs for the printing. So we just had to fundraise from our parents. So the money that we put into printing Qwani 1, now the money that came from the sales, we usually plow it back to fund all the activities that we do. We usually plow it back to fund the printing and every other stuff, whether it's an event or a space we want to book. Now, whatever we got from the sales of the book, that's what we put into this business. So it's basically just plowing back the money.
Okay.
That's all.
So there is Kidangana. We know Kidangana. And this is thing called the cult of the founder. So it's like one person can become the face to the point where people don't see other people. Is that a problem at Qwani?
It is a problem.
It is?
Yeah, it is a problem. So actually it was highlighted to me when last year I had attended the NBO Book Bank, and then the NBO Book Fair. Is it the Book Fest?
Yes, book NBO Fest or
NBO
Lit Fest.
Yeah, Lit Fest, NBO Lit Fest. And then so I was actually with Eddie, and then Eddie is the one who told me that. He told me
Eddie
Ashio, yeah. He told me that, and I actually thought about, because the older Qwani also had the same problem, because Binya was the face of Qwani even after he left. And then now, when I don't know whether I'm jumping the gun, but when the cancellation happened, and then now there was all this story about how the founder is bad. Now it portrayed the whole Qwani as bad because Qwani is this guy and this guy is Qwani and all that stuff. So it made us all reflect on that, and then I don't know whether there's possibly a way to change that, because it's already been ingrained, and because I'm usually everywhere. But
so anyway, to maybe for the sake of speaking about these other people, could you highlight some of these other stars at Qwani?
Okay.
And what they do,
like
and
the
what
particular
makes
role.
and what makes them, not necessarily role, and also what makes them special, in their work, their talents. In their
work in Qwani or in their life?
Both.
Okay.
In their work at Qwani, you say Qwani is an organization. So they work at the organization, but there is also their work as artists, as writers.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah. Both.
So there's Natasha Muhanji. Natasha Muhanji is our she's our chief technical officer, and she's like the biggest writer we have.
She won an award.
She won an award. She won a regional award on poetry, the Sondeka Poetry Awards for, I think it was for not poetry, short story awards, which were held last year for East Africa. So she actually got.
I've read her poetry. It's good.
Yeah,
it's
she actually writes even poetry, and she's been published quite a number of times. She's been published even in the US. I think she got a publication 2 months ago in the US. She was called for a fellowship back in June in Uganda, the Africa Writers Series. She does some amazing work in writing. She writes the best short stories, and if anyone, I think she'll be the most successful of us in the field of literature. So I usually prop her up because I really want the best for her. There's Naomi Nyakinyo. So Naomi Nyakinyo is the one whom I approached when I wanted to start Qwani. So she's our chief editor. She's the one who deals with the editorial of the book. I'm not even in the editorial team, but she's the chief editor. So she writes flash fiction, just some short fictional works. There's Mark Murimiri. So Mark Murimiri is our chief communications manager. So he's the one who deals with social media mostly and all these types of communications. And he mostly writes essays. He also writes on science. He's the science nerd whom I got from Twitter, and then I brought him on board. There is Joseph Kambai. So Joseph Kambai is our chief financial officer. He's the one who deals with all the money and all the transactions that flow in and out of Qwani. So he mostly writes poems, but at the moment he isn't around. So there's Edwin Okeyo. Edwin Okeyo is also works in communication, and he's based in Mombasa. So due to him, we started a branch of Qwani in Mombasa. I don't know whether you know, but there's branches of Qwani.
I didn't know there's a Qwani branch in Mombasa.
There's a Qwani branch in Mombasa and a Qwani branch in Eldoret.
Since when?
The Mombasa one has been for 3 months now. The Eldoret one has been for like 6 months now.
Are they meeting regularly, doing events?
Yeah, they usually as much as just the way Nairobi does events like every week, they also do events that frequently.
Okay.
So they're also building a community there, both in Mombasa and in Eldoret, and if we are able to, we'll try and open branches in different places, as many places as possible. So there is who's the last guy? Have I said? Yeah, I've actually mentioned everybody.
So those are the people in the pod.
Yeah, those are the people in the board.
What about members who are like doing really well?
In terms of writing, or in terms of this other
writing?
In terms of writing, we had this other girl called Fidelis Njoki, who won now the Sondeka Poetry Awards. When you look at our book, she's on at the back page. So we put Muhanji on the front page because she won the short story, and then there's Fidelis at the back page. We also have Frank, though Frank hasn't written for Qwani, but
Frank Njugi.
Yeah, Frank Njugi. I mean, he hasn't written for Qwani, but he usually hangs around Qwani, so we consider him a member.
Is Qwani adjacent?
Is Qwani
adjacent?
Adjacent.
Okay. Adjacent. Tomato.
I don't understand.
No, I mean adjacent. Like, what does that mean? Like you're just next. That's what it means, right? So he's Qwani. He's not Qwani in. He's Qwani adjacent.
Yeah.
Like in the periphery.
Yeah. Because sometimes he's actually one of also the most accomplished people around us. So people usually ask for advice from him. People always reach out for advice from him. I think he's the most published poet of our age. With all these publications around the continent and stuff, so people always reach out to him for advice on how to go about all this stuff. We had Lewis Miller Kafira, although he has disappeared for a while. I don't know where he went. So he writes well on mostly on social economic affairs, on economics and social affairs, and in politics. He's also been published at The Elephant. I don't know if you've read his works.
I've read. I also read yours at The Elephant.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, I read your... I've read several before, including the one you wrote about Ruto. I don't know how you got the guts to write that. But there's this one I saw today. I had not seen it before. A book review you did of... but before we'll get there, you are listing people.
Yeah. We have Amanda Nechesa.
I know her.
Yeah, the one who's at Kazini. She's also been, we've also published her in both books, Qwani 1 and Qwani 2. So she writes great poetry. She's also been published, she got published at Brittle Paper. She has several publications at Isele Magazine, all this kind of stuff.
You also got published at Brittle Paper?
Yeah, I also got published at Brittle Paper.
Yeah, and The Elephant?
Yeah, and The Elephant.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think I'll mention this for now.
Okay. So, what else does Qwani do?
You know, initially we started Qwani like just to focus on literature and just to focus on publishing books. So when we did the launch, the program for the launch was like having musical performances, poetry readings, musical performances, poetry readings. But our goal was to just to do the launch, put out the book and then like call it a day, go home, and that's it for us. But then like 2 weeks later, people started calling us and like, hey, when's the next event? So we'd say that since people really loved the musical performances, so we said like, oh, what if we just do an event and now without the book, let's just have the same program. Let's bring in artists, spoken word artists, musicians and poets, and now like have them showcase their craft. So for the next 2 months after the launch, we started doing open mics. So we had open mics every last Saturday of the month. So we'd do them either at Alliance Francaise or at Lavalate. And then it got to a point now where like we started seeing that it's become monotonous, and now people will start asking, hey, like, what new thing are these people bringing to us? So that's when I remember that I used to go on hikes before Qwani. So I was like, oh, like, since you've already built a community of these young people, like, what if we try and give them more and more activities that they can do together so that we can now reinforce the community? So we decided to bring in hikes, and then now we added that. Now, since by that time it was in July, so it was like 4 months later, we assumed that enough people had been reading the book, so we started bringing in now the book readings, and now we bring the authors and the readers to now discuss the book. And then as we progressed, we started now like, we decided to open up Qwani to more creatives besides now the writers and the musicians. So we started having art events. We started having we started doing a play. Actually, we did a play early this year. That was to open up Qwani to like actors and to script writers and stuff. So we've done so many events, both in sporting events and indoor events and all that stuff. So the whole aim is to like have a community that encompasses all kinds of creatives, so that we can have filmmakers in our community, you can have scriptwriters, you can have actors, you can have musicians, you can have painters, all this other people.
So it's like the Amazon of the arts.
Yeah, it's the Amazon of the arts.
Amazon started, by the Amazon, basically same story. Jeff Bezos started Amazon with the intention of having it be a superstore for everything on the internet. But he started with books. So he started with books because he believed that books are the commodity or product that has the most categories.
Oh yeah.
So you see, if you and that is so good for the internet, because the internet is a place where you can have all the categories. But in traditional, like a bookshop, you can only have history or whatever. But on the internet, you can have
everything.
Even the weirdest category. If you say spiritual African sci-fi, you can have that.
Yeah.
So he saw that vision, and he's like, he will start with books, fight with the traditional publishers of bookshops, win, and then after that he starts bringing in all these other things. So he's like, oh, you guys started with the books, and now you went to sketch tours, karaoke, book discussions, cycling, philosophy, art and craft, hikes. What are sketch tours?
So sketch tours basically, I realized that there's a lot of history in Nairobi that I usually know, and there's this particular concept called psychogeography, whereby when you walk in a particular area, you're able to
Psycho as in psychology.
Yeah, psycho as in psychology. So it's a combination of psychology and geography, in the sense that you're able to like get to know the area well. Just by walking through it, you're able to spot, oh, that particular place usually has a smocha guy. Oh, there's a cobbler there. So like through walking, you're able to learn a particular place well than if you move by car, because if you move by car, you're just like seeing these places as they move. So I also learned that the streets of Nairobi have a lot of history. That is quite obvious. And then now I was like, oh, like what if instead of now just walking in the streets of Nairobi and telling people, oh, that is where Jem Kiriko is killed. Oh, That is where Jomo Kenyatta did this. So like, what if now we can now combine it with art, such that people are able to like, as they learn the history of this place, they're also able to draw these places so that they can remain with, maybe they can remain with something tangible.
So a group of like 10 people are walking around drawing.
Yeah, a group. Actually, sometimes usually more. So we usually just walk around the whole street. Let's say Kenyatta Avenue from the PC headquarters all the way to Sarova Stanley, and then now I tell the people, oh, this PC headquarters is where Kitambo, the Nairobi administrator, used to be. And then once I'm done explaining, now they start sketching the area. Once they're done, we move on to the next place. Nyayo House. This is what used to happen.
So do you sketch? Do you sketch a building? Do you sketch?
Now it's usually just anything in the environment. It could be the building, it could be the road, it could be the people, it could be just anything. Just whatever you feel like resonates well with you.
What if you're not a good drawer?
We usually welcome people just for the vibes, but we usually say just come with something, and then you can just make something for fun. Yeah.
Okay. So like, let's say hypothetically, I don't know how to draw. I come, I draw with you guys. What is typically the response of such a person after? Like, what's the feedback?
Like from that particular person?
That kind of person, like me, who can't draw.
Like,
me, I can draw, but I'm just saying.
Like the feedback from you to us, from us to you.
From me to you guys, like, how do I feel after I have done it? How do I feel? Like, did the drawing add value to me, or was the work itself and the history everything?
Well, I think people mostly just appreciate the work. The art part is really just an addition to it to make it more enjoyable and make it more engaging, so that it doesn't be didactic, that I'm the teacher and you guys are the students, and I'm just teaching you as we work.
So it's like you're making it sort of there's, I know you said you don't like Marxism or something. Well, but there's this book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where he talks about theory and praxis. So it's like praxis, doing, and theory. So it's like you are making it, it's not just the theory, there's also the you want to make it active. I want to make it active. You want to make people take part. Exactly. Not just be passive.
So the sketch is usually a combination of all those three: history, the history of the area, art, now when you draw the art, and then now psychogeography, now walking in the area, now learning. I think, well, psychogeography is usually a very interesting topic. I think it's been written numerously, and even there was this particular story by Kari Baraka I was reading. It was published in DRR3. It's called Hii na Hii ni Yetu.
I have that one. I have that DRR3. I've read. That's the first story I read.
Oh, Hii na Hii ni Yetu.
Yes.
So at the end, he wrote that he usually gets ideas mostly when he just walks, like in the CBD, and then now he sees all these things, and then because the story is actually it's actually influenced by a walk. It starts when he's at UN, and then now he's walking down the streets now. So that particular, it's such an influence is based on psychogeography, just walking around, and then now ideas spark about the area that you're currently
that's called being a flaneur.
Yeah, it's called being a flaneur. Actually, I was avoiding that word, but now I see it.
Well, you can use it because we used that in our interview with Silas. Flaneur. So whoever is watching this already knows this word if they googled it, because we used it in the title. So I love that you brought that up, because it segues into the next sort of line of questioning. You say Kari Baraka. You say there's Kari Baraka. There's this Nigerian guy, Tejukol, who's a flaneur, right? Writing there's a book he wrote, I think it's called Open City. So it's also Open City. Was it Open City? Which is Kari Baraka has written about Tejukol. Like, I think he's an inspiration. So the book, from what I saw, I haven't read it, but I looked at it, blurbs and so forth. It has that sort of thing where you are inspired by walking around, looking at things in the city. So there's Kari Baraka, there's Tejukwa, there's Eddie Ashua, who you had mentioned. He also loves the city and being inspired by the city, writing about the city. I know you also love the city, Nairobi, and you have really written about it extensively, its history, on Twitter or on X. is Nairobi for you something that, is it an obsession, a literary obsession, like something that makes you just want to write, or is it a intellectual obsession, like you want to know more about it? Do you want to write about it, or do you want to know about it?
Mine is a case of more of wanting to write about it. I usually say that like every nonfiction, every writer should have their own ode to Nairobi, a piece they write just dedicating to Nairobi, because I feel like Nairobi is like is one of those cities that has its own personalities. Like Nairobi is very distinct in its character, and so there's usually a lot to write about Nairobi. My most recent article at The Elephant was about Nairobi. It was just basically a rambling about Nairobi. I don't think there's anything coherent in that article, but I really enjoyed writing it. Have you seen it?
Which one is this?
Yeah, it was titled Nairobi, the city modeled under the second law of thermodynamics.
I haven't seen this one. I haven't seen it.
So I was basically just writing about how Nairobi is chaotic. So now, because the second law of thermodynamics states that things move from a state of order to a state of disorder. So I was just writing about how Nairobi, like walking around Nairobi and then observing all this level of chaos that's around.
Is it really chaos? I really wonder about it, because I think it's that Western model again. I don't think Nairobi is chaotic.
Nairobi is chaotic.
Ask me why.
Why?
Have you ever seen those makangas? How they organize. Like they organize people. Mpange line. Kama kuko na jam or whatever, they organize themselves.
Have you walked in the streets of the CBD? Have you walked in Tomboya Street?
Yes.
Have you walked in
downtown?
Yes. Whole downtown?
Yes.
And you think it's like orderly?
It's not orderly. I'm
exactly.
I'm saying that chaos is not chaos out of lack of order. It is everybody is doing their thing and everybody knows where. It's like where you have this room and everything looks like it's in disorder, but you know where everything where everything is.
But it's still disorder.
How many times do you hear mtu amekanyangwa na gari?
Hata tusikiangi.
Exactly. If it was chaotic, watu wangekuwa kanyangwa na gari more often.
But it's still chaotic.
It's chaotic.
Exactly.
It's chaotic because you are thinking of New York.
No, not because of New
York. Or Rwanda.
No, because we're comparing how it used to be to how it is at the moment.
Well, how it used to be when it was colonized.
Not when it was colonized.
Well, when it was post-colonial.
I mean, currently you can just, like even just a few years back, you can even just say before Sakaja.
Because I usually ask myself, which streets make the most money? The chaotic streets?
The chaotic streets. It's the chaotic streets.
Exactly. So why would we want it to look good and make less money?
We wouldn't want it to look, we just want to have order.
So what? For what?
For
aesthetics?
Not for aesthetics, so that you can easily move around. I mean, why is it usually hard to walk around Tomboya Street? Because there are hawkers on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
And because matatus and bodas are just moving around that way.
But you see, the point is, the more people there are, the more money is being made, right?
Well, that's okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Like, if you go to India, right? Do you think the cities are orderly?
The cities aren't orderly.
Yeah. How much money does India make?
India makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we should just accept a disorderly city.
It's not that we should accept, is that we should, instead of thinking of trying to fix it, why not work with it? You know what I mean? Like let's say when we talk about the environment, and you say, instead of trying to build around, like, you see, like when we say we are uprooting the environment so that we can build our own human ideas and so forth, like like the river, the riverbeds, we are building on riverbeds and so forth, river basins, swamps, whatever, riparian land. Actually, there is a way to actually still build modern cities and still preserve the environment, right? I actually strongly believe that there is a way, maybe there is a philosophy in architecture or in city planning that you can use where you are not anti-people. You see, when you say it's chaotic, you are pro buildings, pro sidewalks, anti-people. Because like there's this lady called Jane Jacobs. She's written a book called The Death of Great American Cities, or something like that. it's about New York, and she has all these ideas. I don't know if she was an urban planner or she was an activist, but she wrote that book, and I have read that book some years back, maybe 10 years ago. And one of the things I noticed is that for her, she kept saying the city is built for people. For people. So for me, I got that humanistic way of looking at it, where it's not, let's chase away the hawkers. You see, these people are here to make a living. Yeah, the city is for them, right?
Yes,
the city is for them. I am actually safer downtown than uptown. At night.
Okay, at night. Yeah,
yes,
at night.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Because there are people. People around. If uptown is deserted, you walk around in that deserted place. It's riskier. So the city should be for people, not for aesthetics. Like just how we say that we have the tourism, and the tourism is not for us. It's for people to come and see the animals. So the animals become ornaments. Anyway, you love writing about the city, and you also know a lot of history about the city. So what's like the most mind-blowing thing you've learned about Nairobi in your researches?
The most mind-blowing thing I've learned.
Okay, the one that comes most recently to memory.
Mostly it's about I can say just about how there were all these negotiations about how to move the capital city from when the guy who brought the railways called George Whitehouse, when he finally settled at this place, and it was very swampy. So there were very many negotiations on how to move the location of the central business district to other places. There was the suggestion of moving it to Westlands, where Westlands currently is. Interestingly, that was the suggestion by this Ewart Grogan, because he had his house just next to at Chiromo, and so he wanted the CBD just next to his house. There was the suggestion to move it to Kikuyu, and then there was another suggestion to move it to Ngong Hills actually. And so it was a very long confrontation, even between the colonial governor at the time, who was, I think, Sir Charles Eliot, Winston Churchill, who was the commissioner of colonies, and then whoever was the prime minister of UK at the time. I can't really remember. So it was a back and forth, until eventually now Winston Churchill and the guy who was the prime minister gave up, and now the CBD remained to be where it is currently. And now
prime minister or governor?
At the time, did the UK have a governor? Or was it a prime minister?
You said Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was...
No, he was, at the time in 1905, he was like the commissioner of colonies.
Okay.
So, like, it's interesting that, like, we refused to move the CBD from where it is, and now, like, all these years later, Nairobi has remained just to be a flooding area because of advice that was rejected at the time. And it will have at least alleviated this whole problem. There's also there's a project that we're working on recently, working on the street namings, documenting the street names around Nairobi, and then we discover that there are only like five roads named after women in the whole
5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
And so I actually did a trivia on Twitter.
There's Mama Ngina Street.
Yeah, there's Mama Ngina Street.
Which is the other one?
Now think about it.
Yeah, which is the other one? Which are the other 4?
There's Professor Wangari Maathai Road.
I don't know that one.
You know Professor Wangari Maathai?
Forest Road. Former Forest Road.
Yeah, former Forest Road. There is Catherine Dereba Road.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Where
is it?
It's in Umoja.
Okay, so it's not even in CBD?
No, in the CBD there's only one.
Okay. And
that's Mama Ngina Street.
So the rest are out there? Which are the other 2?
There is Margaret Wambui Kenyatta Road. In Lavington.
Which Margaret?
That's the daughter.
The daughter of Kenyatta?
The first daughter of Kenyatta. Yeah, the one who was a Nairobi
There was a mayor.
Yeah,
okay.
the one who was a mayor. And then the other one is Tegla Lorube, which is in Imaradaima.
Okay.
So like out of like the 14,000 kilometers of tarmac.
That's a big story.
There's like 10 kilometers.
Is that a project you've published?
No, we haven't yet put it out yet, but it's something we've already worked on.
That's big.
It was like something huge we were doing on history, and I really hope it comes out.
Yeah, that's
because it'll be a very great project.
Yeah. What about colonial names, white names versus African names?
For the street names?
Yeah.
So there was a lady who did a whole research paper on that for her PhD, and now she was documenting how initially the streets in Nairobi, like in the CBD, were named like after numerals. There was First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue, just the way there is here in Kahawaskari. And then it moved on to like names after the people in the UK. So there was Connaught Road after the Duke at the time. There was White House Road, which was named after the guy who was the chief railway engineer. There was Delamere Avenue, named after the famous settler. And then after now we got independence, so we moved on to like Africanization. So at the time, Kenyatta decided to name roads mostly after his Pan-African friends. That's Haile Selassie, there's Nkrumah. And then he named after his nationalist friends, Akina Ronald Ngala, Akina Koinange, Akina Wabera. And then there was now just based on towns, different towns in the continent, like Lagos, like Accra, like I can't remember where Latema comes from, but that was basically the naming style after that. So one of the most interesting things is that Nairobi had like 54. The CBD had 54 streets named after. Was it 20? I think it was 20 streets named after Indians at the time, like before colonialism, before independence. And then
Kenyan Indians.
And then after independence, not all, like 19 of them were scrapped and named after Africans, and only one remained, and that was Aga Khan Walk.
You say there were how many before?
There were 20 in the CBD.
Okay, there's only Aga Khan Walk.
Yeah, the Aga Khan Walk is like the only one. There was Jivanji Street.
Jivanji, okay.
Which is now Mfangano Street. There was another one called Saldanha. There was Ribeiro. So all of them, actually, even in Parklands and Ngara, they are purely like Indian named streets. Actually, I think Desai is the only one that's
still there.
No, they're all scrapped.
Okay.
Even in South B and South C, which was interesting because those places only like at the time it's
so
only
the Africanization policy was really put in effect.
Yeah, the Africanization policy was really put into effect.
What do you think is the effect of walking around and having streets named after Africans compared to I don't know if it's Namibia. I was hearing the streets are still named after white people.
I think the naming system is supposed to have like a mental effect on you to etch this particular person in history. Like when you walk around Tomboya Street, you know that there was this particular person in history was Tomboya, and then this is how we like it's a heroic way to like commemorate all these people, like to etch them in history, like so that they aren't forgotten, even though most of the streets people don't really know who the person they were named after. For example, Wabera Street. You know Wabera Street? The one that's from Macmillan Library to the Supreme Court.
I don't know, was it a soldier?
Yeah, it was a soldier.
Was it something to do with Wagala Massacre?
Yeah, it was something to do with Wagala Massacre.
I saw that somewhere, so I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe it was on Twitter. Maybe it was you who wrote it.
I think I wrote about it.
Yeah.
So most of the people just pass by the street, they see it's called Wabera Street, but they don't know like who the heck was Wabera. So like I was really wondering whether there's a particular way now like we can find to pass more information on such stuff. There's the street next to Central Bank, which is called O.R. Tambo. I think it's O.R. Tambo.
Lieutenant. Okay.
So like
not Lieutenant Tumbo.
No, it was Tumbo. Yes, Lieutenant Tumbo. Yeah, it is Lieutenant Tumbo. So people also don't know who that guy is. And so I was just wondering like whether there's a particular way we can do to like commemorate more. The way we have a statue of Kimathi, Dedan Kimathi in Kimathi Street. Initially there was a statue of Delamere on Delamere Avenue, where currently the junction between Kimathi Street and Kenyatta Avenue, there was a statue in the middle, but that was during the colonial.
Delamere Avenue is now Kenyatta Avenue.
Yeah, it's now Kenyatta Avenue.
Okay.
So I was just thinking whether there's a particular way now we can commemorate this guy, so that it's just not the street name, but there's also some information like, oh, this guy did this, that's why he has a street named after him, because that's what has been done with Ronald Ngala. When you walk along there's a statue outside poster.
You know, I hadn't, I don't know how, but I think I only noticed that statue this year. I was shocked, and I went and Googled it. I was like, this statue has been around since 2020 or 2021?
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
I actually also didn't know Accra Road changed to Kenneth Kaunda Road.
Yeah, not Kenneth Matiba.
Sorry, Kenneth Matiba Road.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Though they haven't changed on Google, but they have just placed the signpost on the road.
Yeah, I noticed it a while back. I was shook.
Mm.
So that project is under Qwani.
No, it isn't under Qwani. It's a separate thing.
You are cancelled this year. This year.
Yes.
And you are cancelled for tweets that you wrote when you were how old?
18.
18.
Yeah.
I don't want to ask you how old you are now, but you are not 18 today. You're not a teenager. Early 20s still?
Yeah, early 20s.
Okay. Almost mid 20s?
Not almost.
So it was a while back, yeah?
It was a while back.
So the tweets were things you wrote about. Let's say it was said that the thing was that you body shamed people, and it led to a whole what is it called, an outcry or an outrage, yes, and you became the character of the day. It's a thing that happens on X.
Yeah.
So that day you became a character of the day and you became famous. Yeah. So what were you feeling when all that was going on?
First of all, I think I saw it when it was starting out, and like it was basically one of my friends is the one who had like said just search this particular word on his profile, and then now like many people did so, and then they shared screenshots on the quote of that tweet, and now like I saw it at the time I was seeing it, there were just a few tweets, and then now I got offline, and then now it spread to the WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group for Qwani, and now people started sharing those screenshots on the group, and they were like asking, what is this you are writing? And then at the time I just decided to ignore it at the time, because there was something else I was doing, because at the time on that particular night I was writing something. So people started reaching out to me via WhatsApp, and they were saying like, oh, you like most of the tweets that you used to write kitambo have been brought up, and now like it's blowing up, and now people are starting to attack you. And so I got tensed up. I won't lie. But there's one thing I learned from the day Blaze. There's a day Blaze was also the main character on Twitter, and what he basically did was just he got off the app, and then he stayed offline for a couple of days, until now the story subsided. So I knew people were still reaching out, and they were saying like, hey, leo ni siku yako manze, hey, leo umekujiwa. So many people were still DMing at the time. So like I didn't really want to open Twitter and check what exactly was happening, because I knew it wasn't definitely good. So I decided for that particular night, let me ignore it. And then when I woke up the next day, I had texts from a particular friend of mine we were working together on something, and she was like, what are these tweets I'm seeing you wrote about women? And so we had a call, and then I tried explaining to her that, oh, this was who I used to be kitambo. I used to be so foolish. I used to just write any intrusive thoughts. I used to have this particular circle of friends who I used to be, and we were just bullies, and we were just saying any particular thing, body shaming women. And I tried explaining.
Is this when you were reading philosophy?
Yeah, actually it was at the same time.
So you're reading philosophy, which is about wisdom, but you're also foolish.
Interestingly, I was a nerd by day and a bully by night. Okay. So like at the day.
So you see, what led you? You told me philosophy. You got there just the logic. It's not suffering. What led you to bullying? Because you don't just become a bully. I
didn't really think it had a lot of depth. I just got onto Twitter at the time, and they were like, oh, this. I'd call them Chokora Twitter. Chokora Twitter is just this particular.
Why are you trying to fit in?
I found their tweets to be interesting, so I was like
entertaining.
And yeah, I found their tweets to be entertaining. So I would maybe it was trying to fit in, or I was trying to be like them. Sort of, I was trying to be funny like them. So that's how I got into it. And then now, like, I had this whole people who are now like I almost got in, and now I had all these people who are like me and who were encouraging me, and that's how like I continued doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it.
You see, so you stopped because you were reading philosophy?
Stopped tweeting.
Stopped being a bully.
No, not because I was reading philosophy.
What made you stop?
What made me stop was now it coincided with the same time that I got this. Okay, I got this particular girl, and then now we started dating, and then now she was like, she introduced me to more things.
Had she seen what you used to? Has she seen when you're getting together? Did she have access to your timeline on Twitter?
No, she wasn't even.
So
on
she
Twitter.
she had not seen.
She had not seen.
If she had seen,
I don't know whether it would have been the same.
would she have
Possibly.
liked you?
I don't really think so. Of course, it will have been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I got to be with her, so she walked me through all this other side of the world. Now that's when I discovered actually.
Which side of the world?
Now that was the artist side of the world.
Okay.
Now that's when I started exploring art galleries. That's when I started exploring music events. That's when I started exploring all these other things.
I want to ask because there are artists who are still bullies. So it's not that art will make you stop being a bully. So I want to understand what particularly exactly changed you.
So I'd say that the particular perspective I used to have before was like I'd say myopic. Like I hadn't been opened up to this other world, like whereby now I interact with the LGBTQ on a daily basis, or I interact with other. So previously, the opinion that I had on these other people, like things that I had read. I don't know whether you know, but Schopenhauer has a whole essay on women.
That's actually one of the tweets that. Oh, okay. Did you tweet about Schopenhauer?
Yeah, I tweeted about Schopenhauer.
Yes. That's one of the tweets that came back.
Yeah, so I posted on women because he had a whole aphorism on women, and then he writes all these negative things. So some of the opinions I had were also informed by that. But now when I get to a place like art spaces are usually very diverse, and you interact with all these people and you see that this person is just a normal human being like me. It's just that his sexual orientation is this. This other person is like a normal human being, just that they have a different body weight to me. So I realized that they are not as different people based on this particular body sizes or sexual orientation. They're just normal people. And now I'd say that's when my perspective of people changed, and that's when I became open and I became more diverse, and eventually I built this community.
So what led to you? Okay, you see now, you say you are myopic, and now you're building a community. There's an apology you wrote where you said that your perspective had changed to where now you had realized the importance of people. Yeah. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. So when I got into these different spaces, and I learned how all these people are let's say just human beings like each and every one of us, and now that's when I started appreciating everybody. And now that's when I saw it's really important to have a community of each and every one of these people and accept them all and not be bigoted towards them. So that's when the perspective changed. I stopped being bigoted now when I had a personal experience with each and every one of them.
Have people forgiven you?
Half of the people have forgiven me, half of the people haven't forgiven me.
Do you crave their forgiveness?
Well, I can't really say crave their forgiveness because life has moved on, and I don't really think they'll forgive me.
How do you feel like when you have that baggage of it's on the internet, it's maybe always going to be a part of the story being told, because it's the biggest thing so far that has gained a lot of attention. So there's a thing where the dark and the when the media or people are trying to create a story, they will also say, this is the guy who did this when he was 18.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that baggage?
Well, I haven't thought much about it. I think the only thing I'm usually a bit sad about the particular people we lost after that.
Also, Qwani lost some people.
Qwani lost half of its the people in the community because they were we can't be in a community that's so bigoted. So we lost half of the people, and I'm usually sad about that, and I don't really think we can regain them back because it's hard to gain their trust.
Did they form another?
No, they didn't form another community. They're just out there at the moment. sometimes it's usually sad to think about particular people whom I had a personal interaction with, and they knew that, oh, this is how this guy is and he isn't like they know that I'm not the same guy that I used to be because they've interacted with me personally, but still they weren't able to forgive me, and it's a bit sad, but it's okay. I just moved on. I just realized there's no need like crying over spilled milk. Yeah.
So after that, what's the way forward?
Okay. Now let me now answer the question you had asked about now the baggage. You know, the only like sort of consolation at the time was like, you know, if this particular scandal had happened when like I had a job, maybe it would have affected me. Maybe if like I had a boss and the boss saw this and they were like, oh no, we can't have somebody who has such harmful offensive conduct, and then they'd fire me. But you know, at the time like I didn't have a job, so there wasn't like much to lose besides these other people. So I usually console myself that maybe it was better to be cancelled at this time when I had nothing to lose than at a time when like I'm somewhere up there and then now it dragged me down.
You know, they were calling for you to step down from Qwani.
Yeah, they were calling for me to step down from Qwani.
Did you consider it?
No, I didn't consider it. Because again, now that comes the whole issue of being sort of the face of Qwani, and now there were so many operations I ran at Qwani. So like removing me from Qwani would have like brought this whole house of cards tumbling down. Now like it wouldn't have been able to continue. So the whole idea was that I just like run operations from the side and now like conduct these other things, but now I wouldn't have need to be the face of it. It's really hard to remove the face of something. But the whole point was like that I just like move aside kidogo and now like run things from the side and let the other people now take over. And how you asked how to move forward from it. I don't know, I haven't thought of that. I just decided now like to continue doing what I was doing. Like a week later after that scandal, I just got back to Twitter and I started now tweeting about the newspaper. You know how I usually share the newspaper photos, tweeting about history, tweeting about hiking. So I decided that the only way to move forward from it is to just continue doing what I was doing before. And if people were appreciating what I was doing, then they just continue appreciating what I'm doing. So yeah.
So were you in the Gen Z? Okay, I won't ask that. But
yes, I was in the Manda.
But the point is, Qwani is more or less a Gen Z mostly organization, and you also have a Bunge la Mwananchi or something.
Mayut.
Bunge la Mayut. So there's a lot of like political consciousness at Qwani. So as we wind up now, we are closing. You can maybe give a sort of your POV of what happened in June. Okay, so basically, I just started explaining how Bunge la Mayut came about and now go into all that story. So when the Finance Bill 2024 was brought up around late April, there were all these punitive taxes that were being proposed. And then I went through, I used to scroll through Twitter, and that's when people started like doom tweeting, and they were very angry, and the anger was very palpable, and I was like, oh man, maybe these people need like somewhere, a particular place to vent out. Oh, you started Bunge la Mayut after Finance Bill? Yeah,
like immediately after the Finance Bill was brought up. So that's when now like I was like, oh, we can have this sort of a town hall space whereby people now come together and now debate on all these things, all these political things. And now that's when, for the month of May, we had 2 sessions, whereby now we had Julian Samboko, the guy who usually tweets, who usually explains all these things. He came, he explained to people all these things, and then he helped in the public participation. And then we had other sessions whereby we had people explain to each other. We usually had the bunges, like in the mode of basically a parliamentary bunge. Like we have the side of the opposition and the side of the members, and then now we debate on these particular things. So the whole goal was for people to be politically conscious, like because there are some of the people who are coming to learn, like, oh, what's the eco levy exactly about, or what's this particular nini exactly about. So the whole point is for more young people to be politically conscious and engage more in that. So when the protests eventually came about, because the protests initially were about the finance bill, personally, I was happy to see that people have actually seen how bad this thing is, and they want to take matters into their hand, and now they are protesting actively about it. Because the thing about the finance bill is that there have been finance bills every year. But now this particular time, people were actively involved in like reading what it is about, translating it to every language so that people can know it, breaking down each and everything. And so I was really happy to see people like be actively involved in politics. And finally, when the time came to go on the streets, I definitely had to be there. And it was really nice to see like all these people come out, though I really know that everybody came out from possibly a point of anger, like people wanted jobs and the government wasn't providing any jobs, and like people were angry that the MPs were like accumulating all this wealth for themselves, while people in the constituency suffer. So there were so many causes to fight for at the time, and the protests were quite cathartic, and I there was some change that came about after with all these protests when we went to the streets. I really hoped the momentum would go on. The June 25th was really like it really left a mark, even I guess on the government, because they knew that they weren't untouchable as they thought they would be. Even though like Ruto went live and called people the treasonous criminals, and then after that, though, the trend of the mandamano, the cycle went downwards until now eventually it died down. But I really felt happy to see people come out to the streets to fight for their rights, and I really hope it's something we can do again, because the government has gone back to harassing us as it was before that. So yeah.
Fantastic. You have 2 books. Book 1, Qwani, is it book or book?
Book. The book is just the social media handle.
Okay. So you book 1 and book 2. You tell them where they can get it, or how, and maybe how much.
We have 2 books currently in the market. We have Qwani Book 1, which is a compilation of like 65 different pieces written by 37 writers. So it comprises of pieces in different genres such as poetry, short story, essays in philosophy and science. We have plays, we have reviews, and we have a sharing story. And then Qwani Book 2 is also a similar anthology with a similar model. So it has 72 different stories by 60 different writers in similarly the same genres. So you can find them at Nuria Bookstore. Qwani 1 is actually sold out and it's out of stock, and I don't really think we'll print it again. But Qwani 2 goes for like 1,000 shillings, and you can get it at Nuria Bookstore. The moment we actually want to work on Qwani 3, we want to do a call for submissions from October, and it will be Mandamano themed. So we'll be looking for pieces in the same genres, like poetry, whether you have poems that can be in Mandamano theme, whether you have essays that you can write, whether you have comics. We'll also open it up to art, so we can have photographs, whether you took like monumental photos from the recent Mandamano. We will just announce the call for submissions, and then we'll announce the process itself. So you'll just send in your pieces there, and then we'll vet it, and then hopefully next year we'll launch the book, which will also be available at Nuria Bookstore.
Thank you, Kid, for showing up and for the engaging interview.
Asante sana for hosting me.
So that was Kid Angana, Qwani, quantity surveyor, writer, editor. Actually, we didn't talk about quantity surveying.
There's nothing to talk about that.
There's nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about.
So until next time, I'm your host, Eric Rogara. This was Conversations in Literature. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button so that you can continue getting updates when we upload new episodes. Conversations in Literature is sponsored by Nairobi Academic Press.